So today I'm going to be using the Walabot DIY 2 to help me install a bathroom outlet for my bidet. So right on the other side of this wall is the toilet. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out. I'm going to add a bigger box. I'm going to string wire from the other side of the wall down to this outlet and tie it in here. It is worth mentioning I did already shut the power off to this breaker. So you can see we got 0 volts. So what I want to find out here is where is the stud, because that is going to tell me which way I can expand, and it looks like the stud is right there. So I've got a stud here. That means I can move this box out just a little bit. So I'm going to be installing a 2-gang box here. So that's going to do a couple things. It's going to give me enough room to where I can pull this one out, but it's also going to give me a little bit more room inside the box so I can fit all the wires. I'm going to use what's called a Bidet to cut that hole. You don't have to do that. You can use a drywall saw, but I'm going to use this. Just about to the inside is where we're going to be cutting. So this one is just nailed in. There we go. Now I've got one of these little bonding clamps on here, so that's got to come off. Normally you wouldn't have to take those off, but because the wire's going both up and down, it's got to come off. That's all that was. These have little clamps inside the box that hold the wires. I just want to try to bend those in. Okay. Now we just got to use the Walabot to find that same stud on the other side of the wall, and then we'll cut that hole so we can put that outlet in. So because this is a 20 amp circuit, we are going to have to use 12-2, so that is 12 gauge. It's a bit thicker than the 14-2. 14-2 is good for like lights, that kind of thing, but this circuit is 12-2, so that's what we're going to use. So this next part is going to be a little bit wonky, but what I want to do is I want to try to use the expert mode and see if I can detect that wire coming down the wall so I know exactly what length I need. The cool thing about the Walabot 2 is I've got that on the other side of the wall. I got my phone right here, so I can actually see what I'm doing on the other side of the wall from this side of the wall. There we go. That's actually pretty cool. So you can kind of see that little line right there. It's kind of hard to see. But that is telling me that the wire is right there. So I know that I'm at least at the Walabot down there. So I should be able to reach up and grab it from right there. That's cool. There we go. That's pretty awesome. So now I can just cut a length off of here. I'm going to use a screw-in 1-gang box on this side. And we're at about 6 inches, so cut off that. And it's very important that we use a GFCI protected outlet because this is going to be in a location that does have water. The reason I put this up so high, even though the bidet is going to be down low, is because you need a certain amount of distance between the toilet or even the shower and an outlet. So if I put this up basically where the other outlet is by the mirror, then we should be okay. It's going to be a little bit more unsightly because we've got that cord going from here to the bidet, but it is safer. Ground goes to the ground. The neutral always goes on the side that's a little bit bigger. And then the line goes on the right. We can give a little S-wrap. Just want to make sure I got the screws facing the stud. I've already got these holes opened up. So let me start putting the roll mix in. You want to try to pull it till you get that jacket through. You want to be able to use that to protect the wire. So first is the grounds, and I want to put my wrap back in. And I'm also going to attach this ground. I want to twist those up nice and tight because I want there to be a very good bond. Okay, and then I'm going to cut all these grounds so that they are the same length, except for one, and this is going to be the one that actually goes to the outlet. I'm going to be using a new Leviton Decora outlet, and by Decora I mean that it is square instead of round like the old one. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm using a 2-gang with 1 blank outlet cover, so that's going to fit that nicely. And this one is also slightly oversized, so that's going to help to cover up that mess that I made. I don't want to use what we had, so I'm going to cut that off. And then I'm going to use what's called a greenie. So it's a regular wire nut, except it has a hole in the end, and we can use that to go through this ground wire. And then that will lock onto all those other grounds on the bottom. Our new end on. I'm going to reuse this jumper, but I'm going to give it new ends. And these are kind of short, so I'm just going to leave those. Ideally, you would want to recut these, but that's not going to be happening today. I'll line those all up and twist them together. And then put our wire nut back on. Okay, and then give them each a tug. Make sure that they're not going to come out. So I got 2 screws on here. I'm going to put this set on the bottom screw. This is what we originally had. And then the new neutral I'm going to put on the top screw. You could use either one, it doesn't really matter. Okay, we'll do the same thing with our lines. Cool. So now that we got this much larger box, we got a lot more room for all these wires, and we just have to decide if we want this outlet to go on the right or on the left. I'm going to put it closer to the stud. I got this a while ago. I don't remember if it came with screws or not. I got these Leviton wall plate screws, so we got plenty of them. So I'm just going to go turn the power on, and we'll see if everything works. So let's check. You have voltage 122 and 122. Okay, I got a green light. That's a good sign. 123. Test. So that was 0.07 seconds. So very good. Reset it. Make sure the top eyelet does the same thing. 0.06. So yeah, job is done. So it's a pretty awesome tool. I mean, the fact that I can use this thing for finding studs so I know exactly where I need to be cutting, but then also having that expert mode so I can actually look behind the wall from the other side of the wall because this thing is wireless. This just makes it that much easier. So that's very cool. I don't have the bidet installed yet, but I can test it with this. And there we go. We have got power.